Good morning, everybody. Today we will discuss the current source inverter. In our previous lectures, we already studied the different kind of voltage source inverters, 180-degree mode of operation, 120-degree mode of operation. In inverter module, already we discussed the voltage source inverter, current source inverter. Under voltage source inverter, already we studied the single phase inverter, three phase inverter, and under single phase inverter we studied the half bridge and full bridge with varying load, resistive load, inductive load, RL load, RLC load. So we already discussed this part already. We discussed the three phase inverter, 180-degree mode, 120-degree mode. Today we'll discuss the current source inverter. As I told you in first inverter class, the voltage source inverter, the output voltage depends on the input DC voltage, and in case of current source inverter, the output is depends on the input DC current source. This is the circuit of current source inverter. Here the input of the current source inverter is obtained from fixed voltage AC source through a control rectifier bridge or through a diode bridge and a chopper, and one large inductor is connected in series to make the output current ripple free. So L filter is connected in series with the source, so that the source current will become constant. In this circuit, this is a full bridge circuit. 4 thyristors are used here and no diodes are connected in parallel. So we can say the circuit is more simple than the voltage source inverter, and the load here we have chosen the capacitive load. Okay, and in voltage source inverter the input voltage was constant and the amplitude of the output voltage does not depends on the load. However, the waveform of the load current as well as its amplitude depends upon the nature of the load impedance. But in case of current source inverter, the input current is constant but adjustable. The amplitude of the output current from current source inverter is independent of the load. However, the magnitude of the output voltage and its output waveform of the current source inverter is dependent on the nature of the load impedance. A current source converter converts the input DC current to an AC current, and the output frequency of AC current depends upon the rate of firing angle of SCRs. Here a thyristor is assumed and all the thyristors are assumed ideal switch with zero commutation type. Here all the thyristors we have chosen as ideal thyristors. And we have seen this is a output current. Why? Because this is one pair of thyristor, T1 and T2 are one pair of thyristor, and T3 and T4 are other pair of thyristors. So when for first half of the cycle, when thyristor T1 and T2 are fired, then current will flow through the load this direction. So the arrowhead showing the positive direction of current and the polarity of voltage V0 is showing the positive voltage. So current is flowing this direction, the load current is same as the source current. Because I considered all the thyristors are ideal, so there is no loss, and this is the constant current is flowing through the load. And when in the next cycle, half of the cycle, T3 and T4 are fired, then current will flow through the load this direction. So the current and voltage both are in opposite direction. Got it? Now this is the graph of output voltage, as because we have chosen the capacitive load, then the equation of output current, which is equals to the current flowing through the capacitor is equals to C dV0 dt, where V0 is the voltage across the load. So V0 we can express as 1 by C integration of IT dt. So the voltage waveform will be followed by the integration of the output current. This is the graph of output current. So the integration of the output current will be the output voltage graph. So this is a triangular waveform. The output voltage is a triangular waveform, and as because we have chosen a pure capacitive load here in this circuit, and in capacitor, pure capacitor, the current leads the voltage by 90 degree, or the voltage lags behind the current by 90 degree. So the graph is lagging, the voltage graph is lagging behind the current graph by 90 degree. The current graph starts from here. This is the 0 degree or 0 second. Here this is the 0 degree or 0 second, and it starts from intersects with the x-axis by 90 degree. So lagging behind the current by 90 degree. Now if we plot the fundamental component of input current or output current for this circuit, the input current is equals to the output current. So the fundamental component of output current, that will be a sinusoidal waveform, and the fundamental component of output voltage, that is also a sine wave. So that is represented as V01T, the fundamental component of output voltage, and I01T be the fundamental component of output current. Now if we apply KVL during the first half of the cycle, because in first half of the cycle the thyristor T1 and T2 are on, and in the next half of the cycle the thyristor T3 and T4 are on. So when T1 and T2 are on, then if we apply KVL in this circuit, this is the input voltage V in, this is minus, this is plus. So V in plus V in, if we move through this, that will be minus V0, that will be is equals to 0, applying KVL in this circuit. So you see here, the V in minus V0 is equals to 0, therefore V in is equals to V0. So the output waveform of the input voltage waveform will be followed by the output voltage. So this is the V0, that is equals to V in. Got it? And in the next half of the cycle, the T3, T4 are on. So when T3 and T4 are on, the input current will flow through T3 through load this direction. So the current direction is now reverse or opposite. So as the current is opposite, then we are moving from voltage negative terminal to positive terminal. So minus plus V in, and here we are going through this. So plus V0. So we are getting V in plus V0 is equals to 0. So therefore V in is equals to minus V0. So in its input graph, the V in input voltage graph will be is equals to minus V0. This is the V0 graph. So minus of this will be this. Now, if we compare this output voltage waveform and the input voltage waveform, we can see the total time period is 2 pi. To complete one cycle, it takes 2 pi. But for one cycle of input voltage waveform, we can see it completes this one cycle in pi. So the frequency of the input voltage is twice of the output voltage. So if we give the 50 hertz as input, if we consider the output voltage is 50 hertz, so the input voltage, frequency of the input voltage will be equals to 100 hertz. Similarly, if we consider this is as 50 hertz, it repeats this cycle and 50 hertz, then this will be equals to the frequency of the output voltage will be equals to 100 hertz. Got it? Now, another thing is that in between here, the thyristor T1 and T2 are on from 0 degree to pi. But from 0 degree to 90 degree, the output voltage is negative. Voltage across the load is negative. That means this side plus, this side minus. And from 90 degree to pi, the thyristor again T1, T2 are on, and the output voltage is positive. That means this side plus, this side minus. So after pi, in between pi to 3 pi by 2, T3, T4 are gated. So when T3 and T4 are gated, after conduction of T1 and T2, and the voltage across the load, this side plus, this side minus, and T3, T4 just gated, then what will happen? This minus will come across the anode terminal of T1, and the plus will come across the cathode terminal of T1. So the thyristor T1 will be turned off. Similarly, as T4 is on, then and the minus will come across the anode terminal of T2, and plus will come at the cathode terminal of T2. So T2 will also getting reverse bias. So during this portion of time, the T1 and T2 are in reverse bias. So from pi to 3 pi by 2, during this portion, the thyristor T1 and T2 are in reverse bias. Similarly, in between 0 to 90 degree, this is the start time, and before this cycle, the T3, T4 was on. Definitely, this is the T4, T4, T3, T4. After that, T1, T2 will start. So before the starting of T1, T2, the T3, T4 was on. So when T3, T4 was in conduction mode, then this side was plus, this side was minus. That means reverse voltage was there. Okay. So when this side plus, this side minus, and the T1 and T2 are just gated, then this minus will come across the T4, and this plus will come across the cathode terminal of T4. So T4 will be reverse bias. Again, similarly, the minus will come across the cathode terminal of T3, and plus will come across the anode terminal of T3. So during this portion, T3 and T4, that means in between 0 to 90 degree, the T3 and T4 are in reverse bias. Therefore, if we try to find out the circuit turn of time, so omega 0 Tc, that will be is equals to pi by 2. So Tc will be is equals to pi by 2 omega 0. So if you are asked to find the circuit turn of time for pair of thyristor T1, T2 or T3, T4, that will be the expression. Now, thyristor conduction angle. As we have seen, thyristor is conducting for 0 degree to pi or 180 degree, and from pi to 2 pi or 360 degree, the next two thyristors are on. So the conduction angle pair of thyristor is 180 degree or pi. Now the average thyristor current. This is the output current waveform, input current waveform. So thyristor current is input as well as output current, both are same. So this is a square waveform. So if you are asked to find the average current, so average thyristor current will be equals to V by 2 pi. 2 pi means the total time period is 2 pi into pi, because V in is present in up to pi. So we are getting V in by 2. If we are asked to find the RMS value of thyristor current, so this is the waveform of thyristor current. So root means square. So doing this, we are getting I in by root 2. So we are getting I in by root 2. This derivation already we studied in previous lectures also, because in voltage source inverter, in various cases we have seen the output voltage waveform is the square waveform. So that expression is same as previous. Now here the Fourier series of current and voltage. So if we apply the Fourier series in current and voltage waveform, so we'll get the I0 t is equals to summation of n equal to 135 to infinity 4 in by n pi sine n omega naught t, where omega naught is the fundamental frequency and n be the number of harmonics. So, and the output voltage, we know output voltage is equals to current I0 t into Xc, because we have chosen the capacitive load. So that will be is equals to 4 in by n pi. Xc means 1 by n omega c, and thus, as because the voltage waveform shifted by pi by 2, so for fundamental component n will be is equals to 1. So we are getting this expression displaced by n pi by 2, and the fundamental displacement factor, that will be the cosine angle between V01 and I01, and the angle between V01 and I01 equal to 90 degree. So the cosine angle of V01 and I01 cos 90 is equals to 0. So we are getting fundamental displacement factor will be equals to 0. We studied already, we have seen the input voltage, frequency of the input voltage is the twice of the frequency of the output voltage, that already we discussed. Now the average value of fundamental component of thyristor current, the fundamental component we have seen, that is a sinusoidal waveform. We have seen this is a sine wave, fundamental component of output current. So if we take the average of this waveform, then we will get I01 max by pi, where I01 max be the maximum amplitude achieved by the fundamental component of current. Now, if we try to find out the RMS value of fundamental component of thyristor current, therefore root mean square. Mean is 1 by 2, 0 to t by 2, I01 max sine omega t whole square d omega t. Doing this, we are getting I01 max by 2. And last, if we try to find out the active and reactive power developed across the load, active power will get P01 is equals to V01 RMS, I01 RMS cos phi 1, and phi 1 here 90 degrees, so cos 90 is 0. So the total active power developed across the load will be equals to 0, and the total reactive power developed across the load will be equals to V01 RMS, I01 RMS sin phi 1. Here sin phi 1 is equals to 1 because phi 1 is equals to 90 degree. So we are getting V01 RMS, I01 RMS. So from this discussion, you see the after conduction of T1 and T2, the T3, T4 will be turned on. So when T1 and T2 are conducting from here 0 to pi, T1, T2 initially conducting. Next, when T3 and T4 are gated, then we have seen that thyristor T3 is getting minus, sorry, this plus is coming across T1 and the minus is coming across this terminal. So similarly, the minus is coming across the anode terminal of T2 and the plus is coming across the cathode terminal of T2. Initially T1, T2 are on and just T3, T4 are gated during this portion. So automatically the T1 and T2 are getting reverse voltage and the natural commutation or load commutation is possible for this case. You need not to connect additional commutation circuit to turn off the thyristors pair. Okay, similarly when T3 and T4 are on, then the voltage this side plus, this side minus, and when just T1 and T2 are gated, then minus will come across the T4 and then plus will come across the cathode terminal of T4. So T4 will be turned off and the plus will come across the T3 cathode terminal of T3 and minus will come across the anode terminal of T3. So T3 and T4 will be naturally commutated. So natural commutation is possible in case of capacitor, but if we replace the load by resistor, then the natural commutation is not possible. That case we need to connect one force commutation is required. So additional force commutation circuit we need to join. So this is enough for current source inverter. You go through this, and all the parameter analysis are very, very important to solve problems. So don't ignore it and go through all the topics I covered and try to understand how the waveforms are coming and what will be the equations of each waveform. Try to understand this. Thank you for watching this video.